Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, well then welcome to the channel. Here, you're going to see me sculpt pain. This has actually been something that I have wanted to do for a while now. Pain from Naruto specifically, if you couldn't tell from the thumbnail and everything. I've always really loved his design, and it's something I've wanted to do for a while, but every time I go to start it, it doesn't add up. Something wasn't adding up, and it wasn't working out. And so I would take a break, or I'd stop doing that, and I'd go move on to a different project. But finally, I decided, you know what? No, we're gonna just tackle it, and we're gonna see how it goes. So I ended up doing just kind of basic facial blockouts. I ended up doing a lot of work on the face. Not even all of it is recorded or anything like that. I just worked so much on the face over time as it went. Like, I would get kind of like a basic head shape down, and then, you know, later on when I start working on the body, I'll come back to the face, kind of, you know, stuff like that. There was a few times where I had actually gone to sleep, and then I woke up in the morning, and I get back on Blender, you know, get back to it, and I look at stuff, and I'm like, it just doesn't look right. But luckily, by the end, I found something that I believe what I ended up doing at the very, very end of this, I was like, I like how it looks, but there's just something not quite right. And at the very, very end of this, I don't believe I recorded it, or I did, and it's just not in I know it's not in the video. I ended up masking out towards where the eyes are, and I kind of pulled them apart just a little bit. They were a little too close, and pulling those just a little bit further apart, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's it. I'm happy with that. But here I am just kind of drawing the basic, you know, shape of the eye. So oftentimes, if people, I'm still new to this, so I don't want to seem like I'm just a know-it-all and I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm still learning as much as everyone else is. That's kind of the point of this channel. It's just, you know, I do a project and I post it. Some of the stuff I like, some of the stuff, I'm not a big fan of, but it's something I can look back on later on down the road, and, you know, and then maybe tackle some of the projects that I wasn't that happy with before and see how, you know, how much I've improved. So one of the reasons people make faces and they just look kind of odd, there's a few reasons, one of which can be that there are, you know, there's muscle and fat and then obviously bones in the face that some people don't think of that actually affect the way your face is shaped. And oftentimes it's the muscles, and sometimes you got to add in the muscles and, you know, get that right. Like, for example, here the ears were a bit too far back, so I just kind of pull those forward and then smooth out the little line that ended up making. Another one where people, and I still sometimes do it, where I'm like, that just doesn't look right, is, and you'll see it here in just a minute after I get done kind of working on the ear here, is you can have a pretty good looking face model, but it looks weird to you, and the main reason being is because you don't have eyebrows or like eyelashes and things like that. If you ever seen like what someone looks like without, you know, eyebrows, it looks kind of odd. And I mean, that's essentially what you're sculpting. You're sculpting someone who doesn't have any hair. So a lot of times, even if I end up throwing the sculpt away, I usually will at least get to the point where I've like added in a little bit of hair, so I can at least see what it's looking like. Because they always look weird when they don't have, especially like eyebrows and like the eyelashes. So I just use the same. I do this on all the stuff. I just take a vertice, turn on the little edge snapping tool there at the top, and a shrink wrap modifier, and as you can see here, just kind of following along, just kind of extruding the vertice along the outline of, say, where I want the eyebrow to be, where the eyelashes is going to be, and then, you know, extruding it out. The eyelashes specifically, I always end up turning off. Like, I apply the shrink wrap after I extrude it, because the top of the eyelashes, you kind of got to extend those out, and you can't do that with the shrink wrap. So the eyebrows end up being shrink wrapped for most of this, I think, probably until I'm ready to rig. And the eyelashes, I end up turning that off, excuse me. Kind of a similar method here, just using the whole plane instead of just one single vertice to make the headband, is what I ended up doing here. And I used I believe it's the poly build tool is what it's called. Just copying, duplicating and then separating to make the headband, and then the metal on there. The hair, there's so much duplicating. There was so much duplicating. I oftentimes try something. Like, you'll notice here, I believe it's either after this clip when I have here the piercings. It's one of these upcoming ones. You'll notice little differences in the hair, because what I had there, which is kind of like placeholder. Here you can see this is how I did the facial piercings. Was I believe that's a torus is what the circle little donut thing is. And then the cylinder. For the lip piercings, I actually just took a sphere and the grab tool and just or the grab brush and just kind of sculpted it out, and it ended up working out just fine. They look just fine. So it's basically the same thing for the earrings. I just used it. I believe that's a torus, and then just a cylinder to make the little looking like the industrial bar there. So here, we're just making like the head, the hair. It's kind of like following along. It's like the hair outline. So when the curves, like the actual hair strands, as you can see here, that's what I was talking about. The smoother ones are mostly gone. There's a few still in there in this clip, but I end up changing what they all look like to kind of give it a bit more definition. But the little blank spots that are in there, that's what the sphere covering the head is meant to help cover up. And then here, so I end up using shrink wrap, I think in total it's the shrink wrap, the solidify, and then the spool tool, the add-on that comes with Blender. You have to enable it, but it's pretty handy. And I can never remember what order what button I'm supposed to click or what order to click these in. So I end up just clicking on all of them until I finally find what I'm looking for. And then if you ever use that add-on, it's not the best for making like good clean looking geometry you saw there, because it just basically takes the geometry that one object has and just kind of sticks it in the other one. So it can create issues, but for just making this little headband, it got the job done. But if you ever go into edit mode after doing that, the section as you saw, the little like the symbol that's the rain symbol that's in his headband, that was highlighted automatically, which was just handy. So I just added a new material to that and made it a little bit darker. The hands, I spent a lot of time on the hands. They end up pretty well. Like I feel like they end up pretty well. It's the hands and probably like ears and things that I feel like I could probably work on a little bit more. So that's kind of what I did here. Is I spent a lot of time working on his hands, adding in the piercings. Here I kind of did the armature and rigged it so I could pose him and get ready to create the cloak. I actually ended up making Pain a little bit more muscular than what he probably normally is. I toned it down before the final render. I did it mostly for practice. So like I made Pain kind of like a bit more muscular and like bulky than he actually is, and I slimmed him down and everything before the final render, because it was mostly for practice for me, because most of his body's hidden anyways. I didn't have to do borderline most of this. I just did it for for me. And then here it's just a cylinder. I just kind of extrude out where the arm should be and follow along. I took a texture, I believe that's I think I just got this off of Google, and I end up just rocking out with that, and that's how I got the texture on the cloak there, at least for the cloud pattern. I had to kind of mess with the UVs a little bit. I opened up the cloak and realized, hey, this guy's got no pants on, so I had to fix the pants. But yeah, that is my sculpt of Pain. I like the way it turned out. I learned a good little bit here from doing the sculpt, and overall I'm pretty happy with how it came out. But anyways, guys, I do want to thank you all for watching. I'm Dusty Mill. Bye, everybody.